Hello? Hello, it's me, Waz. Can you hear me? Restarting my thing, my page to make sure. Hello? Okay. I'm back! I'm back, I lived! That was rough. Welcome back. Yeah, that's definitely when they're most prone to dying, when it's most inconvenient. It's funny, I've never had it blue screen. Like, it literally was just like, oops, it died. And now it seems to be okay, maybe. Although I've lost all my... Unless it auto-saved my notes. I didn't save my notes, so... Not that we have that much time left, so it's okay. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for hanging out while I, No, I don't think it did. I don't think it saved my thing. That's okay. We're just gonna wing it at this point. Oh, wait. Maybe... Hold on. No, don't. Hold on. Don't do that. Maybe it did save it by itself. I love auto recover. Have I ever talked about that? It's a very good invention. Thank y'all for waiting. Oh, now it's not responding. Okay, anyway, I'll bring up the page I was looking at again. We were talking about... I don't know what we were talking about. I was saying something about millipedes when it died. I was in the middle of talking about millipedes, and the government cut the power. There's something they don't want us to know about the millipedes. I'm telling you right now. That's what this is. Okay, my computer is taking its sweet time because it's just, you know, it's still hurting after what just happened, which is understandable. I would be too. Also, my other computer is about to die because I didn't plug it in. Even though I plugged the cord in. This is just a mess. We're a mess today. I'm a mess today. Okay. Plug this computer in. Move it so it doesn't fall over. Oh! Yelp. It fell out again. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. If this one dies, I don't even care. It's fine. It's fine. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Everything is fine. Oh, look, it even saved where I was. That's good. That's good. Here we were. We were talking about this. Whatever this is. We finished talking about Malurian, I think. Yeah, because we were talking about the millipedes. So we'll move on to the martensian or Emslayan mimicry, which is the unusual case where a deadly prey, and I'm gonna maybe open this up again. Oh good, it's back. It is back. Yay. Where a deadly prey mimics a less dangerous species. This one I think is really especially interesting because it's something that you don't really see. It's not really something you would think of happening. Like, it's understandable where it's like, oh, you pretend to be more dangerous than you are, but being like, pretending you're less dangerous than you are is a strange thing. But it's interesting. So this comes back again to the coral snake, and we have the harmless milk snake, but there's also another one that goes on. It's a possible explanation for how a predator can learn to avoid a dangerous animal when the predator... Like, this is the thing we talked about before, which is, like, there's no learning that happens if first contact with another species, it just dies. Like, it's better if the learning happens and the dying does not have to happen. This scenario is unusual as it's mostly the harmful species out of the model, but like I was saying, if the predator dies on its first encounter, it doesn't learn to recognize the warning signals. So there's no advantage for an extremely deadly snake in being aposematic because any predator that attacked it would be killed anyway. So it's better off being camouflaged to avoid attacks altogether because it takes energy to be scary. It takes energy to produce venom and that kind of stuff. So if the predator first learned to avoid a less deadly snake that had warning colors, the deadly snake could be profited. So this is the thing. It's not mimicking a milk snake because milk snakes are not. They're harmless. They have no toxin whatsoever. But the moderately toxic, as it's saying, coral snake is another one that is okay. It's not going to show me. So the false coral snake. The false coral snake is a snake that is kind of between the milk snake and the actual coral snake, because they look like both of them and they are toxic, but they're not as deadly as coral snakes are. So this is a good model species for the martensian thing, because it's like an encounter with a false coral snake would be much less likely to kill the animal that it gets contact with, but it would have that chance to learn. And the coral snake benefits from this and from looking similar, because it gets that learning, which means animals will just leave it alone, which is better than having to fight them off. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Okay. And then there's a couple other ones. There's Wasmanian, which is when the model that resembles a model it lives alongside with in a nest or colony. Like social, like I don't know as much about these ones. There's Vavilovian, which is weeds that come to share characteristics with domesticated plants, so they come to look like crops, and that's because of us. We put that pressure on them. There's Gilbertian, which involves only 2 species. The potential host or prey drives away its predator or prey, or sorry, parasite or predator by mimicking it. The reverse of a host parasite aggressive mimicry. Interesting. There's Browernian, which is, oh, this is the thing we were talking about before. It's a kind of auto mimicry, where like this was the, like, monarch caterpillars, like we talked about, monarch butterflies are toxic, and monarch caterpillars are also toxic, but how toxic they are varies from individual to individual. But since they all look the same, no predator can tell which ones are more toxic, which is a good thing for them. And then we're gonna get into aggressive mimicry, and I have to pee really quick, which I kind of wish I'd gone just when we were having the drama thing, but I wanted to make sure I knew what was happening. So I'll be right back. One moment, please. I'm back. Sorry about the lack of no music. I didn't pull up my thing again when it died, because it did die, which was sad. And I will, I'll get that ready definitely for the end of the stream and whatnot. So now we're on, Chrome didn't shut down properly. You're joking. Of course it didn't. Now we're on to aggressive. So we talked a bunch about the defensive strategy of pretending to be more dangerous than you are, and also pretending to, or not pretending, but looking like another dangerous animal, and that sort of stuff. Now we're going to talk about aggressive mimicry, which is more, you know, what predators use to pretend they're harmless so they can get close enough to their prey to eat them. So this is the opposite of sheep in wolf's clothes. This is wolf in sheep's clothes. Allowing them to avoid detection by the prey or host. The mimic may resemble the prey or host itself, or no, another organism that's either neutral or beneficial. In this class of mimicry, the model may be affected negatively, positively, or not at all. The mimic may have a particular significance for duped prey. One such case is spiders, among which aggressive mimicry is quite common. There's the golden orb weaver, which spins a conspicuous golden colored web. Bees are able to associate the webs with danger when the yellow pigment is not present, as well as less as occurs in less well lit areas where the web is much harder to see. Other colors are learned and avoided, but they seem to not be able to associate yellow pigmented webs with danger. That's interesting. Do we get deep water fishies in this segment? We can talk about deep water fishies. I didn't have any in my written down in my notes, but there are, like, I do have like, we can talk about anglerfish and their lure, but there is another aquatic animal I am going to talk about that uses a lure. There's actually a couple animals that use lures. Maybe we'll talk about those too. I don't know as much about deep water fishies, but if you have a certain, like, one you know about and you want to talk about, hit me up, but we could definitely look at it. That's more spiders and stuff like that. Fishing fish. I love it. Yeah, definitely. Another case is where males are lured towards what seems to be a sexually receptive female, but actually they're gonna get eaten. Like female fireflies of this genus, Photurus, can emit the same light signals as Photinus, and are eaten. So, oh my god, are they both fireflies? That's wild. One firefly, it's another kind of firefly? Absolutely wild. Male signals are based on that received from the male, each female having a repertoire of signals matching the delay and duration of the female of the corresponding species. It may have evolved from non-mating signals. This is like a lot about bugs, but there are some stuff we're going to talk about when I get through this that are not bugs. Katydids are capable of attracting male cicadas by imitating, again, the clicks. Kind of like the fireflies do. Some carnivorous plants may also do this. Luring is not a necessary condition if the predator still has a significant advantage simply by not being identified as such. Yeah, so this, one of the things we're going to talk about is I have like one or two species I want to talk about that just pretend to be a different kind of animal that is seen as neutral or helpful, and then talk about a couple animals that use lures that look like other animals, which is pretty freaking cool. So one example of the thing that I was just saying that I immediately forgot, which is animals that look like other animals that are helpful or neutral, is cleaner fish, and I believe it's the, what's it called? It's the something toothed blenny, saber-toothed blenny. So cleaner fish. I'm back. Sorry I dropped off. Have some doings on my place. No problem. My whole computer crashed while you were gone. So, but we're back somehow. That's exciting that you're moving. Stressful though, for sure. I gotta sneeze. Bless me. So cleaner fish are fish that usually have a mutualistic relationship with other fish. They're actually a whole wild thing in themselves, where cleaner fish will eat the parasites and the dead skin off of other animals, and you'll even see, like in this case, we have some cleaner wrasse cleaning a grouper, and grouper are predators. So, and even though these are very small, like this grouper could easily eat them, but because there's a mutualistic relationship where, you know, big animal does not eat small animal helps out big animal and also receives benefit, that's a good thing. Dad sneeze. However, there is a mimic species called the saber-toothed blenny that looks a lot like this certain kind of wrasse fish. It's also called the false cleaner fish. And what they do is they pretend to be the cleaner fish, and they'll go up to the fish and they'll do the same kind of movements as the cleaner fish, and then they'll go up and they'll rip off a piece of flesh, which is horrible. The wrasse resides in coral reefs in the Indian and Pacific Oceans and is recognized by other fish that let them clean it. And then the blenny not only looks like that, they mimic the dance when the prey is like, sure, it will tear off a piece of its fin and then run away. Fish grazed on in this fashion soon learn to distinguish mimic from model, but because the similarity is close between the two, they become much more cautious of the model, so both are affected. So this is a case where the cleaner fish have done nothing wrong, but just the existence of like a more like parasitic type little predator species that it's bad for business. It's bad for business is you're just trying to clean and, you know, your workers keep ripping stuff off people. Bad business model. Another interesting example that does not involve any luring is the zone-tailed hawk, which resembles a turkey vulture. So in this case, like, turkey vultures are carrion eaters. They really eat like dead stuff. So for most animals, they're not like a threat because they eat dead stuff. So if you're alive, you're good. Not going to be so stressful just moving to a bigger place on the same property. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. I didn't want to assume that why you were moving. So I find moving stressful personally, but it's exciting. I'm loving all the information. I'm glad. Yeah, my mom and my sister and stuff have been looking a little bit at houses on the lake lately. This house we live in is too big, really. It's very big. We don't even use like half the rooms most of the time, so. Anyways, so the zone-tailed hawk is a predator of alive things, whereas the turkey vulture is a carrion eater, so it's eating dead things. But if the zone-tailed hawk pretends to be something that's not a threat to its prey, then it can get closer to its prey. And I think it'll hang out with the vultures, and this leads to it being an effective strategy for being able to get closer to prey and then catch them. The hawk's presence is of no evident significance to the vultures, which is probably because it hanging out with the vultures doesn't scare away any prey for the vultures, because again, the vultures eat dead things. And dead things are much easier to catch than alive things. You can quote me on that. That's a good quote. And then the other, before we get to parasites, before we get to parasites, there is two things I can think of that I want to talk about. So one is, you may have seen this because we've definitely talked about it before, is there's a thing called an alligator snapping turtle lure. And alligator snapping turtles are this absolutely gigantic species of turtle, and the way they hunt is they literally just open their mouth and hang out there. Oh, I don't want a video. And their tongue looks like a little worm. And because they look like rocks and vegetation, they will literally just sit there absolutely still with their mouth open until a fish comes along, and then they snap up the fish. That's how they hunt. And so this is a case of them, of a mimicry, because they're pretending that some part of their body is a different kind of animal to lure in prey. Another one that's a little bit different, and it's interesting. I think it's a mussel fish. Yeah, mussel lure. Is this the thing? Yeah. So there's a kind of mussel that has actually evolved so that, I don't remember what this stuff is called, but like the fleshy projections it has coming out of its like shell, it's actually evolved to look like a fish. And the reason for this is a little bit different. It's not for prey attraction, because mussels are filter feeders. They don't actively hunt, so they don't need that. So it's a different reason. And the reason that it looks like this is it's to attract bigger fish. And when they attract bigger fish, what they do is when the fish gets close enough, they actually will clamp onto the fish, and then they shoot their eggs into basically the face and the gills of the fish. And then the eggs are able to like insert themselves into the gills of the fish, and then because of that, they have kind of a safe place to develop for a bit, and also that's one way for them to like go to different areas and stuff. It's wild, absolutely wild. YouTube mussel lure. Oh, lure. No. Fish. It's really cool. Very, very cool. So we'll see here. So you can see, before we even play the video, you can see, okay, I just want like, it's very loud. Hi, my eggs explore the world.
Particularly darters. Even the slightest wriggle of a darter's tail will attract bass.
Go over here.
The mussel can somehow sense approaching fish and wriggles its lure faster to entice them.
Here we go.
If it gets the twitching just right, the remarkable likeness should do the rest.
And the fish are like, I don't know about that.
On impact, the mussel squirts its young into the bass's mouth.
The fish is like, bleh, bleh, bleh.
These snap shut on the gills, like spring-loaded traps. Here they stay, drawing blood from the fish, until several weeks later they drop off as tiny, fully formed mussels.
Kinda freaky.
Some mussels mimic them.
Okay. Yeah, there's different kinds, and some of them look more or less like fish. I want to watch that again really quick.
On impact,
just
the
immediately,
mussel
they're
squirts
so
its young
tiny.
into the
I
bass's
think
mouth.
it's actually like it's wild. It's horrible because they are like parasitic in there basically because they clamp on. But like just the little
These
like
snap shut on the gills, like spring-loaded traps.
yeah. So
Here
that's
they
pretty cool.
stay.
So that's an instance where they actually use mimicry as like a reproductive strategy to help their young survive and go elsewhere. Nature's so weird. I love it, but so weird. I agree. Hi, Killian. It's good to see you. I totally agree with you. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. Okay. We talked about that. Was there another one I want to talk about? I think that was it. Yeah, the snapping turtles and the thing. And we can also look at anglerfish lures. It's kind of like the snapping turtle. It also looks like a little worm or like a or like prey basically. They literally use it like a little fishing rod. God, they're wild looking. Now, I'll mind if we go watch the scene in Finding Nemo where there's the anglerfish, because I kind of want to do that right now. Nemo. Anglerfish. Don't mind me. Don't mind me at all. Anglerfish.
So, last Thursday,
Yeah.
Don't mind me singing.
It's 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Swimming, Dory.
When you want to swim, you want
See, I'm gonna get stuck now with that song. Now it's in my head.
Sorry.
I haven't watched Finding Nemo forever. It's so good.
Dory, do you see anything?
Ah! Something's got me!
That was me. I'm sorry.
Who's that?
Who's that? Who could it be? It's me.
Are you my conscience?
Yeah. I'm your conscience.
They
You
look so
haven't
cartoon
spoken
IRL.
for a
It's hard to
while.
go which one is
How
the
are
cartoon.
you?
Can't complain.
Yeah, good. Now, Dory, I want you to tell me. Do you see anything?
I see a light.
A light?
Yeah, over there. Hey, conscience, am I dead?
No, I see it too.
So it's working in this case. This is biology. This counts. We raised butterflies in my library in the summer, and last year we had wasps hatch
What
from
is
some of the
it?
crystals. Wasps are
so-
like, sorry, I'm gonna pause this a second. But like again, like wasps are really cool, but they do some of the scariest like parasitic stuff. Anyway,
Pretty.
why is it like? Don't ever look into what wasps do to their prey. It's horrifying.
I'm feeling happy, which is a big deal for me.
God
I
save, buddy.
want to touch it.
Ooh. Hey, come back. Come on back here.
So in real life, they'd be trying to eat it, but like, you know,
I'm gonna get you.
Swim with you.
I'm gonna get you.
I'm gonna be your best friend. Good feelings gone.
also in nature, animals do not stop to be scary. They would be gone. They would be eaten.
Ooh.
Like,
Hey, come back
ready, right?
here.
I'm gonna.
Right.
At you.
Wait.
Swim with
Right.
you.
I'm gonna get you.
I'm gonna be your best,
Right here. They're dead. They're already gone. Nature, they're eaten.
best friend. Good feelings gone.
It would also be cool if anglerfish could light up like that. But they can't. Anyway. Back to it. Parasites. Parasites can also be aggressive mimics. So, I know with parasites we talk about, like most of the time you think of like, oh, like stomach parasites and stuff, but there are also parasites. I can't remember what the actual definition of parasite is. We're gonna look that up. Yeah, it's basically when one organism is benefiting from the detriment of the other one. So in some cases it's stuff like this where it's like they're parasites that actually live in the creature, which is horrifying. Sippy! I don't have any more sippy. We're almost done the stream, I promise. Thinking about lunch, yeah. But there are also parasites like, what are they called? Mockingbirds? Mockingbirds are also parasites because what they do, I believe it's, I'm pretty sure it's, maybe it's not mockingbirds. Or cuckoos? Something. We'll figure that out. There's a kind of bird that will lay its egg in a different bird's nest, and the other, the baby will actually push the other eggs out, and the mom will like raise it as its own. Yeah, maybe it's cuckoos. It's not mockingbirds. Maybe I'm crazy. Is it these ones? Yeah. Like me. Egg mimicry. Okay. Yeah, they lay eggs that in others' nests so they don't have to take care of them. That's literally what it is. This is, oh god, this is more information that I wanted. But basically, so they don't have to take care of the babies, and the babies are taken care of for them. Boom. Mimicry in brood parasite. Cuckoo adult mimics sparrowhawk, alarming small birds enough. Oh my god. So not only do they like lay their eggs in a different bird's nest to have them raise it, they actually, it's like, this is a form of mimicry where the adults actually look like sparrowhawks, which would eat small birds. And because of that, the ladies taking care of the babies run away, fly away, and that gives the cuckoos time to lay their eggs. That's wild. That's like going so far out of your way to like not raise your own babies. My god. I mean, I guess. There's also this is a little horrible. We're getting into some of the horrible stuff here about parasites, because parasites and wasps, terrifying. But there are this gets into the like into the parasites that like control the brains of stuff, and it's horrifying. There's a kind of flatworm that they mature in the digestive system of songbirds, and then they go out into poop, and they're taken up by terrestrial snails. However, the songbirds don't actually eat the snails, so they have to figure out how to get back into the songbirds. And what they do is they produce a sporocyst, which is, I don't even want to look at that. And they make it seem like an irresistible meal for the songbird. Why is that? I don't want to look at sporocyst right now. I don't have it. Have you read the Animorph series? I think I read 1 or 2 of those when I was a kid. I don't really remember them though. A nematode changes the color of the abdomen of workers in the canopy bee to make it appear like ripe fruit. Nematodes are scary. In an unusual case, planidium larvae of some beetles form a group and produce a pheromone that mimics the sex attractant of its host bee species. When a male bee arrives and attempts to mate with the... We're just gonna sit with this for a second, I think. When a male bee arrives and attempts to mate with the mass of larvae, they climb... Okay. It says onto his abdomen. I thought it said into his abdomen at first, which makes it significantly worse. Oh, but it's okay. We're okay. Host parasite mimicry is a two-species system where a parasite mimics its own host cuckoos. Jesus. Yeah, they do brood parasitism, where they get others to raise their young. We talked about that. There's intraspecific brood parasitism, where a female lays in a conspecific nest, as illustrated by the golden-eyed duck. That's not mimicry. Okay, then I don't care. There's also the parasitic butterfly, which parasitizes an ant species by releases chemicals that fool the worker bees into believing that the caterpillar larvae are ant larvae, so they're brought directly into the nest. Scary. Pheromones. Chemicals. Hormones do wild things. Parasitic cuckoo bumblebees resemble their host more closely than you expect by chance, at least in areas where parasite host speciation occurs. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have the brain cells to get too far into parasitism right now. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do this. It's too much for me. It's too much for me. We could do a whole stream on parasitism, but it's horrible, and I, would have to, I don't know. I would have to mentally prepare for a whole stream on parasitism. Also, thank you, Saida, for contributing to the horror game stream thing. We're getting closer. Anyways. Reproductive. I'm not... Bakerian mimicry, named after Herbert G. Baker, is a form of automimicry where female flowers mimic male flowers of their own species, cheating pollinators at a reward. Why would they do that? Oh god. Yeah. So in this case, like usually what happens between flowers and bees and stuff like that, like pollinators, is the bees don't just go in there to collect the pollen necessarily. They're usually going more for like the nectar, and they get pollen on them as a result. And then like going from flower to flower, it's just like a byproduct, which is what the flowers want, and it's why one of the reasons flowers may make nectar to make themselves more attractive to the bees they want to pollinate them or to take their pollen elsewhere. But in this case, it's saying no nectar is provided. And instead it just uses the same sensory signals as the model flower to lure in the pollinators without giving them any reward, basically. And the same thing maybe happens here. Yeah. Pseudocopulation. When a flower mimics a female of a certain species, inducing the males to try to copulate with the flower. Oh, with the more benign outcome for the pollinator. So the flower just decides to make itself sexy to a certain species. It can be a horrifying rabbit hole, I speak from experience. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's really fascinating, but it's so horrifying. And it makes you happy that you're not a small animal, or that, like, bugs aren't bigger and do that. Or that parasites don't, a lot of parasites don't use humans as their host. Even though some do. So... Intersexual mimicry occurs when individuals of one species mimic members of the opposite species to facilitate sneak mating. Oh yeah, I've heard about this before. An example is the 3 male forms of the marine isopod. Alpha males are the largest and guard a harem of females. Beta males mimic females and manage to enter the harem without being detected, allowing them to mate. Gamma males are the smallest males and mimic juveniles, allowing them to mate. Similarly, along common side-botched lizards, some males mimic the yellow throat coloration and even mating rejection behavior of the other species, or other sex rather, to sneak matings. That's really funny. You have to be careful with that one. Female spotted hyenas have pseudopenises to make them look like males. Oh my god. Oh my god. Automimicry. Okay, I think we'll finish up automimicry and then we'll probably leave it there. My throat's getting a little sore. We're getting to the end of the stream. We survived. Automimicry, or intraspecific mimicry, occurs within a single species. One such form is where one part of the body resembles another part, like the tail of some snakes resemble their head. We also talked about that with like some lizards and stuff. Leopard geckos are like that. They have a really fat tail, and it can be confused for their head. They move backwards when threatened and present the predator with the tail, improving their chances of escaping without fatal harm. The snakes move backwards. Some fishes have eye spots near their tail, and when mildly alarmed, swim slowly backwards, presenting the tail as the head. Yeah, that's a common... One of the more common, I think, versions of this is like, look, my tail is my head. Leave my head alone. Yeah, we talked about the butterflies that have false eyes and stuff like that. Some writers use the term automimicry when the mimic imitates other morphs within the same species, like in a species where Males mimic females. This may be an instance of sexual mimicry. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors mimicry. What is that? Oh, we were... Okay. Many species of insect are toxic or distasteful when they have fed on certain plants, but not when they have not fed on those plants. But yes, that's correct. So this is kind of the same thing, like we were talking about with the caterpillars before, and it's the same kind of thing where it's like, you know, with caterpillars and stuff, a lot of times they get their, like, they are able to produce the toxin in their own body because they eat things that are toxic, like, you know, the monarch caterpillars eating milkweed. And but if it's a species where their diet includes stuff that isn't toxic, it's kind of a thing where it's like, it's better for more of them to be more toxic, but it's beneficial for the ones that aren't as toxic or aren't toxic at all, because they have the same coloration, so they may appear more toxic. And like it's saying, like, if a bird has sampled a toxic specimen, it's unlikely to eat any of the other ones, even if they are harmless. So it's still useful. We got, yeah, there's eye spots on the booty. We talked about the ones that look like the steak. I'm sleepy. Spectacular examples. They commonly do it upside down. They shift their rear ring. This is again the like, look at my butt, it's my head, like this, I suppose. That is cool. That does, like, it looks like fake antenna and looks like a head. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my speech. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna end on that. Some forms of mimicry do not easily fit within the classification. Like there's floral mimicry. Well, I was interested. It died. So baby died. Okay, it's okay. I don't want to get it. Plants are a whole other wild thing. They're wild in their own way. They just go nuts. Anyway, it's widely accepted that mimicry evolves as a positive adaptation. I agree. I would agree with that. The most widely accepted model used to explain the evolution of mimicry in butterflies is the two-step hypothesis. My brain's not ready for this. The first step involves mutation in a modifier gene that regulates a complex cluster of linked genes that cause large changes in morphology, and then selection on genes. One of the other things I wanted to do at some point is talk about, like, some evolution stuff, because I think evolution is super duper cool. Like, because evolution comes down to mutation, which can happen for a lot of reasons, and then it happens that, like, if you get a mutation that increases the fitness, it makes the animal more likely to survive, then it will get passed on, and that's how like everything evolves. That's why we have different species. That's why we have so many different kinds of creatures on this earth. Now, if I think about it too much, I get really excited and also really overwhelmed. And on that note, we are going to end there. I think if you like watching movies and stuff, I think we're going to watch WALL-E on Saturday in my Discord server, which you can find the link below if you have not already. And I will be back, of course, on Monday with my Chat Monday. Stream ending, and I haven't decided on a topic yet, I'm gonna be honest. But it will just be me, and then hopefully the next week after that I'll have a guest. Thanks to the stream. Thank you so much for coming. You guys are wonderful. I always appreciate you being here and stuff. And I hope you had a good time, and thank you for your patience when my computer just gave up and all that sort of stuff. You know, drop a like and stuff, drop a follow if you enjoyed the stream. I'm literally, like, losing my mind because I didn't get enough sleep last night. So you're wonderful and super smart. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so hyped up that people like me just sitting here and talking about animals for like 2 hours. Alright, I am going to end the stream there. Rating is a thing I just remembered. I lose my mind all the time. There's nobody I have that's online that I want to raid, I don't think right now. I don't. Okay, it's okay. Love it, best part of Wednesday. Dang, that's so sweet. You guys are so sweet. Okay. I'm going to end it there. I hope you all have a wonderful day. You are all wonderful. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.